Yeah, I mean, as you see, they met expectations on AWS growth of 17% in constant currency. But this is where we are saying that this is probably not good enough because Microsoft beat by a big number, Google beat by a big number, and the big question is going to be, why didn't Amazon beat by a big number? And I think that's going to be probably one of the most important questions on the call, and we look forward to hearing what management has to say about it.
I want to bring in Poonam here because one thing that I noticed when I was reading this in real time, the statement from CEO Andy Jassy, also president over at Amazon, was, Poonam, how much he talked about the connection between the shopping experience for Amazon's core customer and artificial intelligence. Because up to now, and maybe I'm wrong, but I've thought about AI in the context of AWS. But what he's trying to communicate to investors is the effect that AI is having on how people are buying stuff. Is it actually doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. AI is a big deal in e-commerce, and Amazon's been investing a lot to improve the customer experience. It starts with search, right? When you go to Amazon and you're searching something, they've just improved it. And they've also launched Rufus, which is their AI or your personal assistant. So that's really been helping shoppers and just, figure out what they want to buy. You want to buy a microwave, but what microwave is better? The shopping assistant helps you not only bring choices forward, but also helps you navigate through the descriptions, the pricing, etc. So it really helps improve conversion, and that's where AI is helping on the shopping side.
What metrics do you look at, Poonam, to make sure that the investments that they're making are actually leading me to spend more money on Amazon?
So Amazon doesn't share all the metrics that we'd like to see, but we know that they've talked about conversion and how that's improving. So I think that's the number one metric. To any extent, when we get color around that, I think that is what's most important. If you think back, online conversion, just broadly speaking, is in the low to mid single digit range. So only about 5% of shoppers that go online to shop actually transact. It's very, very low compared to a brick and mortar store. And every little that Amazon does on AI or anything else is going to help boost that conversion. It's higher on Amazon, of course.
Let's remind everybody that in the aftermarket following earnings, Amazon down about 2.6% here. It's only up about 7% year to date. Anurag, you talked about, the blowout numbers that we've gotten from the likes of Alphabet and others when it comes to cloud. AWS, as we said, the growth was in line with what the street was expecting. Why might they not have outperformed what we got from some of the other hyperscalers?
The first thing is they are much larger than all the others. Their run rate is over $100 billion. So, that's one factor. And, to be very honest, growing 17, 18% at $100 billion is not a bad deal. But the second part is when you look at somebody like a Microsoft, they are getting the benefit of, ChatGPT transactions being run on their cloud. So, that's a huge benefit for them. Amazon doesn't have that option, frankly, because they don't have a ChatGPT like, application that's running. A lot of what they're doing is on the enterprise side. And those applications are currently in the build phase, which means over the next several years, we should see the trickle down effect of those usage, driving up AWS. So I think there is a timing mismatch. I don't see, them as being inferior in any way to some of the other cloud providers. In fact, as I said, they are the largest with probably the most services out there right now.
Do they stay the largest? I mean, they certainly were early into this. I think you could say that they helped invent this. I mean, Andy Jassy, certainly that's why he's CEO after heading up the Amazon Web Services and then being picked by Bezos to take this job. Would you say that they're comfortably in first, or is Azure at Microsoft, Anurag, and also is Google Cloud doing a good job of catching up?
They're both doing a very good job of catching up. And as I said, Microsoft has an inherent advantage there. So maybe down the road, several years from now, let's say 3 to 4 years, they would be neck to neck. But, one of the things is this is a market where we think the entire market is growing much bigger. We don't see 5 years from now AWS being a smaller business than where it is right now. The rate of growth depends on the propensity of enterprises to spend on technology. But we think all three of them will benefit with cloud becoming much bigger over the next 3 to 5 years.
We should point out some more of the statistics on Amazon. Online stores net sales, $61.5 billion, up 11% year over year. Physical stores net sales, about $5.6 billion, up 7.5% year over year. Third-party seller services net sales, $40.35 billion. That's up 11% year over year. Poonam, they also say in some of the commentary, our conviction that AI will change every customer experience is starting to play out. So we talked about it a little bit earlier. I mean, what they are doing in terms of getting people to spend more time on the platform, it's all happening.
Yeah, it's happening. I mean, all the numbers that you just cited, they outperformed expectations. So whatever they're doing, and they're doing a lot, they're doing it right. We think that Amazon is making the right moves to expand their retail footprint online. Once again, it comes back to what do customers want? They want everything. And Amazon's a marketplace that really sells a lot of different types of goods. And they want the speed. And speed is key here because you can get things same day or next day from Amazon without paying a fee being a Prime member. So that's really key here. And the numbers in the second quarter were actually quite impressive on the retail side. They did do really well. Prime Day sounds like it was a great success. We'll hear more on the call, but the numbers outperformed on the retail side.
Is there a follow through, if you will, when it comes to what this tells you about kind of consumers and the U.S. economy?
Yeah, I think consumers are focused on value, and I think Amazon does give you value. They are trying to keep prices low, and this may be a function of that, where, as consumers shop around and they're seeing price hikes due to tariffs, either they've already started or they're coming up, they're finding deals on Amazon. So they're going there, and that's a nice place for Amazon to be as we move forward into the second half.
I want to ask both of you, and let me start with you, Poonam. I mean, what are you thinking about that you want to listen for on the call that the company does with analysts and investors, top of mind, or what you would be asking?
Yeah, for me on the retail side, it's really the tariff question and the de minimis question.
Mm-hmm.
We know we're losing the de minimis exemption. So how should we think about that in terms of their third party, especially where they do rely on some of those drop shipping, especially haul? And then the second thing I'm looking for is just how they're going to be pricing the goods as we move into the second half, because for now we have been somewhat insulated with a 10% pause on most goods outside of China, but that we know is changing in the back half.